So now we are good to go. So good morning, everyone. And before we begin, we would like to uh, extend our gratitude to everyone because we have almost completed our, uh, the renovation at Tushita Center, and we are going to inaugurate on 10th of August, that is day after tomorrow, with the teaching of His Holiness. Sorry, with Geshe Dorje Damdul, who will be speaking on 10th of August from 5 to 7 p.m. So I would request all of you to also join us for our first in-person session after the summer break and the flooding of the Gompa that happened. And so because of the generous contribution of all of you, we have successfully renovated the Gompa. So and that's why, uh, the team was taking the meditation sessions from different places. But from next week, as most of you know, this will be uh, few sessions in person as well as few sessions on Zoom as they have been taking place. So we would welcome all of you to also join us for the session in person in morning. So with that, let us begin our session where we are going to focus on our breath. So before we begin any meditation session, we start with the two things, that is the intention, and the other is the body posture. Now, I I I I can see there are 9 participants who have joined, and assuming that most of you have been taking the sessions here um, with different trainers before, because most of us, yeah, there are different trainers. Also, we are the volunteers who are at different levels of, the meditation journey. So we always begin with the basic so that others who have been joining for the first time can also follow us. So yes, so we'll begin with uh, the body posture, which is the most important thing before we begin any session. For that, um, there are many points, there are many steps to be followed, but the most important step is keeping your back straight. Okay. Now, wherever you are right now, whether you are sitting cross-legged or you're sitting on chair, make sure that your back is straight. Now, I'll follow for both who are cross-legged and sitting on the chair. For the cross-legged position, you can sit in a full lotus or half lotus, that many of you must be knowing. Those who are not, the full lotus is when you when you sit alti palti, like when you sit your left leg over your right leg and sit in a full lotus position. Or it can also be half lotus, where your left leg can be over your right knee, right thigh, and the right leg can be little in front. So whatever is comfortable, the half lotus or full lotus, if you can follow that. Followed by, but if you're on the chair, make sure that your feet touch the ground very firmly. Okay. And that is the first step. Moving upward, your hands can be either, as we have been doing as per the Tibetan tradition, where your hands are your left leg, so your right hand above your left hand, and then your thumbs join to make a triangle, and the hands go next to your stomach. to your navel area. Now, this is one way of keeping your hands. The other could be simply you keep your hands on your thighs, either moving facing down or facing up. So, whatever position is comfortable, you can follow that. Moving up, as I said, your back has to be straight, as if assuming as if there is a string that pulls right from your back through your head, pulling your body like a string. Now, the idea here is not to force or, to have any discomfort in your back. Just make sure that the string, that is human string, is pulling your body till it is comfortable. You don't have to force yourself, no exertion, just as if a string is pulling your back just straight. Now, your shoulders, now coming to the next part, that is your shoulders. Your shoulders have to be straight. It's like forming the letter T. It's like forming the letter T, where the trunk of the body is straight and the shoulders are neither drooping inward nor too forcefully outward, just aligned in a symmetry with the central axis. After the shoulders, we move to our neck. Now, as I said, there are different traditions, there are different ways of, having aligning your posture. But the tradition that we follow, where your neck is slightly tilted towards front. Now, when I say slightly tilted, I'm also demonstrating so that we can follow the visual, but also the words. Slightly tilted means that your chin should just maybe around, like 10-degree or 20-degree maximum to the front. Now, the idea here for this slight tilting is that neither you droop so forward that you fall asleep or not too backward that there is a strain in your neck. So that's why, with respect to your shoulders, which are straight, your neck is slightly tilted towards the front side. Now, once we are done with our neck, we can move forward to another important point in the posture, that is our tongue. Now, since this is a very short session, but when we progress and when we have longer sessions in the future, whether, instructed or personal, we have to be, as I said, comfortable and make sure that we can avoid as many distractions as possible. And one distraction is the saliva that is formed in our mouth. Now, in order to reduce that, most of the practitioners follow the way where the tip of our tongue touches the back of our upper palate. So the tip of the tongue touches your palate, the top floor of your mouth. The idea is to reduce or minimize the production of saliva. Now, of course, with practice, we observe this and we can find out. So the tip of the tongue on the upper palate. Now, after then we'll move forward up. So after the tongue, then of course we'll focus on the breath. So we'll come to the, the breathing part, but coming to your eyes, um, traditionally we have been instructed, to close the eyes when we are meditating. The reason being, again, to avoid as many moving objects which are around us. In short, they say to concentrate, we have to shut our eyes. Mm, but as I said, we have to see for ourselves. If we are comfortable with closed eyes, that's okay. But the ideal way to train our body is when we keep our eyes somewhat open. When I say somewhat open, it's like uh, going in degrees, like it should be like, 20 degrees or 40 degrees open with your gaze slightly down at an angle of 40 degrees. If you have seen any of those, the statues of Buddha, you must have seen that the eyes are never fully closed. The reason, so that we don't fall sleepy. Um, Now, when we keep our eyes open, slightly open, again, there is a risk of, you know, we are not being able to focus, but that's what comes with practice. Uh, One reason, as I said, this avoids that we do not fall asleep. And second, the gaze, when I say at the angle of 40-degree, also ensure that the eyes are not strained. That's why we are not opening our eyes fully and looking forward. No, it is slightly at the angle of 40-degree, that enough light should enter your eyes. The idea is that light should enter. Now, this comes with practice, but as I said, most of us have been following the way of fully closing our eyes. We can do that. There is no problem in that. There is no harm in that, but we can try with this method. If it is not comfortable in between, then we can shut our eyes. So these are the certain points that we focus on our posture, starting from our knees, from our legs, knees, back, hands, shoulder, neck, our tongue, and our eyes. Now since we have worked on our posture, and before we begin the practice, which today the session was about focusing on our breath, we'll set up the intention. Now, as I said, there are two major important things when we begin, the posture and the intention. Now, the intention setting for today's session is that the breath, which is the most visible, uh, force which connects our this body, the gross body with a subtle mind is the breath. That's the most basic, observable connection. And it is the most easy as well. When I say easy, because we all breathe, right? We have been breathing. And as I said, this is the window to the subtle aspects of our existence. So why not to focus on this very observable part? Of course, there are different focusing. Some people focus on, the heartbeat. Some people focus on the sound of the silence, as they call it. Some people also focus on, the movement of the eyes or the eyeballs. So the different points of focus in the body. But for the beginning level, as I said, the gross connection or the grossest way is the breath. So why not to master this very easy handout uh, tool that is available to us? So that is where the breath comes into picture. So the intention is that we understand in some way how the breathing happens. Are we breathing from both of our nostrils? Are we really breathing fast? Are we breathing slow? Or how many breaths are we taking in a minute? So these are the different prompts that, we are kind of investigating or trying to find out. So breath is there, the object, but what can we do with this object? So the intention is to understand this beautiful, the machinery that we have that we call, breathing, so that we can begin to have a glimpse of this transition from from the gross to the subtle. Now, with this idea, this intention, that this basic awareness can lead to mastering the subtle aspects of our mind, so that we not only understand this body, but can try to understand others. Now, I'm just trying to bring, why meditation helps our body, but also to understand that this is what everyone has been doing. Even your friends or your so-called labeled enemies, they all breathe. They all have this mechanism in the body. So can we start empathizing then because we are same? I mean, we are establishing this thing. We are establishing that this process is same in all of us. That the 10 people that here, 10 or what? Um, 10 people who are here, we all have this basic process. Now, this is the intention. Now, since we have worked on the posture, we have worked on the intention, now we'll have the process rolling. Now we have 10 minutes. So the first 15 minutes, we focused on the preliminary step, that is the posture and the intention. Now we'll have the step. Now, for the breath awareness, as I said, there are different prompts, either to count the number of breaths or the nostrils, whether it's right nostril inhalation or exhalation from the right nostril or vice versa. So there are different steps, there are different methods. We'll start with the very basic, that is to feel the sensation of breathing just below our nostril. Now, when we breathe in and then breathe out, we have to focus on the sensation, the subtle sensation at a point just below our nostril and above our upper lip. So I'm just visually depicting it so that people can see. It is somewhere between the nostril and the lip, this point. The idea is to feel what happens when we inhale and when we exhale at this point. Now, there are different terminologies for this point. Some people call it as, like a kind of also dimensions of this point, but we are not going there since we are beginning a journey. So just a point between the nostril and the upper lips. Okay. Now, since we have 9 minutes, we will begin with this step. So again, assuming a posture. Now, before that, I know we can just take maybe 30 seconds of, because I have been moving, but I hope that others have been sitting in the posture. So they can take a 30-second break where you can just turn your body and, just feel, uh, and then coming back to the posture. So whether you are turning towards your left or right, or if you want to have relax your neck, and then again, the string pulling our body and coming back to the posture. Now, since we are back to our posture, we will begin the breathing exercise. So here, as I said, we are doing the very basic where we are just inhaling from both of our nostrils. So we'll inhale and simply exhale from both of the nostrils. Now, when you are inhaling, just mentally observe what happens at that point that we have been discussing between the nostril and the lips. Can we feel some sensation there? Whether it's warm or cool, we will observe them. So now we will begin with simply the inhalation and exhalation, focusing on point. Now, as you can see, within this very short practice of 8 minutes, yeah, it's 9:30. When I was doing, there was a lot of saliva that was also within these 7 minutes that was accumulating. And that's why, I had to gulp it. But when my tongue was there on the upper palate, at least the gulping was not disturbing me because already that reduced the saliva. I mean, that comes because I have been observing this. So that really helped to stop the distraction of the gulping of the saliva. Otherwise, we have to, like do like this. That is the observation that I was doing within my body. And I hope that you must have observed this at different level. And the second point was about the eyes. So after some point, I had to shut down my eyes because it was distracting. So as I said, we don't have to force ourselves. Meditation is not about forcefully, just stretching your back, no, or forcefully keeping your eyes open, no. If there is a point where you feel that the eyes have to be shut, shut down your eyes. But we will make sure that we practice this, keeping our eyes open from the 10 minutes or 15 minutes of breathing, at least 5 minutes, then progressing it slowly. Now, one last thing which I would like to say and have a continuity for our next session would be that when we are focusing on our breath, the two things will happen. One, either we are very excited, which is called as mental excitation, or the other is lethargy or mental relaxation. Now we will focus on these two uh, demons or these two problems and the antidotes of these problems in the coming session. But why I'm introducing right now so that we can be curious. So whenever we are meditating, two things will happen. Either we are very excited or we are very relaxed. Simple language. Excited means the mind is everywhere. Relaxed means we are feeling sleepy. And it's okay. It's fine. Now, what are these two things and how can we tackle these two things? The antidote for these two things that we will slowly unwrap in the following session. I'm just leaving all of you with a kind of an analogy of these antidotes that when our mind is very much activated and or the other possibility when we are too lethargic, sleepy, one way, two antidotes are just first observing that yes, this is happening, like a pet, like we most of us, sorry, some of us, if from these 8 people, if we have a pet at our home, we know as a pet parent, first is the observation. We observe that, a dog or cat or whatever pets we have, they are there. They are, either they are creating so much of noise or they are sleeping throughout the day. So that observation. And the other is that if they run away somewhere, we just simply bring them back. We tie them, or, we just have a leash or so that they don't run away. So that is the analogy I would like to leave you with because some of us know what these two things, what do I mean by these analogies, but some of us do not. So that is a food of thought for the next session. That how do we keep our mind focused when we are meditating with this analogy of, observation and bringing back our mind back. That is for the next session. Since we started 4 minutes late, that's why I'm finishing at 9:34. So I'm thankful to every one of you. Sorry, I'll just take two comments because no, I'm just reading. Um, yeah, so we built on that conversation to just build on the body posture and the intention, since many people may not be knowing it. But yeah, thank you for the feedback. So maybe next time we can keep like 10 minutes of instructions and then 20 minutes of practice, or like 15 minutes of instruction and then practice. So thank you, or maybe 5 to 25 that we can do that. And thank you, Sucheta, for the feedback, for the point. So we'll see you tomorrow with a different teacher. Yeah. And if there are any problems or if there are any doubts, you can reach out to us on our meditation group and we'll listen to that. So thank you, everyone. See you tomorrow.